My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And it's that time again. Noonas are back. That's right. It's time for another edition of Noonas, where we just go over interesting news tidbits about Asian entertainment that we thought were interesting or newsworthy for this little section of time. So we go from all facets of the entertainment world. We're all over the place, and just stuff that we found that was real interesting. So let's take it away. Who has an interesting news piece they would like to start with?
I can kick us off, I guess. I mean, we don't even talk about this group very much or anything, but GFriend is everyone doesn't want to say the D word, but they are going to disband. I mean, that is essentially, but it's because their contract was up and they're not renewing and all those things. So that's a big deal. It is sad. It's always sad to hear about disbanding. So, and they were pretty popular. I mean, they have a lot of fans.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, like, I'm not a fan of them, so I don't follow them at all. I liked Apple. But it is kind of interesting. I was reading up on it, and it does look like they're actually disbanding. A lot of people are like, maybe they'll go to another thing. And I guess in one of the members' handwritten things, they pretty much said that it was done. And I know that their company, because they're the one that is also with Big Hit or Hybe or whatever. They're they're it's a duo thing. So they're the company that they're actually under Source
Music
had already applied for copyright or trademark rights for their names.
Oh, that's shit.
For GFriend at months ago or something. So they already have that. So they wouldn't be able to take their name. And so it's to me it seems like they were planning that they were gonna get rid of them very soon.
Sounds like it, yeah.
And so
they were shifty when companies do that. It's like they're like, oh, you're not gonna you're not gonna re-sign with us. Well, we're going to punish you for that. It's petty. It always feels so petty.
I always feel like there's even a next when it's female artists. I always feel like there's an extra level of petty with it too. I don't know. I just always feel like there's a little bit more manipulation going on there than since they don't seem to have a say. None of the kids do. It's all crappy, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because you never know, because we can say whatever we want, but there could be actually good reasons, and this happened as a good thing. It's just never gonna be a thing. I just hope that at least maybe it gave people who maybe were feeling that they had to stay in the group, because of not to say that's not as a negative thing, but as a, you were staying with the group because you wanted it to succeed, but it was you want to leave, but you're I don't feel right about leaving now. I would hope that this would be a way to do that. Maybe, I'm pretty sure at least one person in that group does acting, so maybe they can do acting more, or if they wanted to not be in the spotlight anymore, do something else with their lives, they now can.
Yeah,
it's still sad for the fans. I know that was very sudden. It happened, and then immediately all their schedules were wiped clean, and I feel bad for the people, because that's just not a good enough turnaround,
right?
To have that sort of thing happen to them. But
it has there been? Have you guys seen or experienced any groups when it does come to disbanding or leaving or things like that it feels like they do give a little bit prior notice? Or does it always feel sudden? You know what I mean?
I feel sometimes in my head I can't think of anything, but there seems to be the ones that you're okay. I mean of course Sistar, but
but sometimes they haven't done anything in a while, and they haven't had any, and so you're nothing, and you're kind of
if you look at something Boyfriend, they just weren't getting anything. They weren't doing anything in their last bit of life. So it was maybe it was a shock to people, but not like it
Not
was a
shock to people
because you were like, no, I'm hopeful, but like you're like
Right.
down inside. I know you don't hear about like people doing stuff, but like I feel like with them, like especially now, like because they did have pretty good solos recently, that it like I guess is a big shock to people.
Yeah. Disbandments are sad for fans, and we always hope that artist side, like Jesse was saying, you know, people hopefully get good opportunities or maybe get to do things that they weren't able to have the time to do, or free up the commitment to do the things that they do want, because not everyone wants to be an idol for their entire lives.
Yeah.
That's not always everyone's calling. I would imagine it would actually be incredibly difficult to do that for a very long time.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think for some of them, like, they're musicians, they're artists, and being an idol was a path to open some doors for them, but now they have an opportunity to maybe pursue, you know, maybe in their heart of hearts they're a trot singer, and now they can pursue that, or, you know, whatever. And like, good for them, and they've got a name for themselves out there, and maybe they've a bit of a fan base, and now they can pursue the kind of music that they actually have in their heart. So.
And some people that really was, they're just trying to have a job that could make money, you know, for their family, or
I mean, at the very least you can go home and like go back, live with your parents, and open a singing school or something, probably giving lessons, like,
or like a dance school or something.
It might be the same thing that you would have been doing anyway, but now you have a name to attach
you have
to
like
it, right?
A following. You can get people in the door.
Right.
I've got a piece of news that made me laugh hysterically.
Well, I sure hope it's funny, because you're building it up now.
I know. So there's currently a Thai drama, a BL drama called Nidiman that's airing. And recently it was revealed that it was, before it was rewritten to be this drama, the original author, it was originally a GOT7 gay fan fiction. So, people got really upset that someone would dare turn a GOT7 fan fiction into an actual TV show.
Is the writer of the fanfic part of the team of the...
Yes! So it's like, she had originally written it as a GOT7 fan fiction, then she changed it, like, she just changed all the names so that it was just original fiction, so that it wasn't connected to GOT7 at all. And then someone bought that to turn into a TV show, because it became popular. But then it was like, you know, because the internet is full of fucking detectives, that it was originally GOT7 fan fiction, and people are so upset. But I think that lots of things were originally fan fiction. Like,
no, see, I would just want to know, okay, which character is which guy.
Right?
Like, that's all I want to know.
I'd be like, oh, this is...
And like, knowing what I know about GOT7 as their personas, they would find this funny.
No, they would think it was hilarious.
Like, they'd be like, ooh, who am I fucking? I was just like, why are people upset about this? Like, no one should be upset about
like,
this.
writer thing. Like, you would just, like, if it wasn't, like, a fanfic, someone would write a short story, and then, like, later on, they expand upon it.
Like, you have,
this is what writers do.
People don't just come up with characters that out of, like, thin air. Like, they base them on pieces of chunks of, like, celebrities, people they know, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, oh my god. I was laughing at this so hard, because I was like, this is the dumbest story. Like, people will get upset about anything. It's not like they're like, yes, the characters JB, Mark, and Bam Bam are all in a threesome. Like, no, the names are changed. They've been changed for a while, but I just think it's really funny.
I'm like fine with it as long as the like original writer is on. Like, that would be my like more concern than anything else.
No, but like people are like going after her, like being like, "How dare you?" And
how
it's just
dare
like,
you like something else?
How dare you like GOT7 enough to have written fan fiction and then changed it so that it wasn't their names, and then other people liking it, and then so it got turned into a TV show.
Made money. How dare you make money?
How dare you succeed at your job? Oh my god.
Meanwhile, isn't like Bam Bam back in Thailand right now? He's probably watching it on
is.
TV. Like he's probably like
yeah,
you know, texting the guys. He's like, "Oh my god, you won't know what we did this time."
Yeah, he's been doing like an English language talk show on the internet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had like Musupposite on there, like the guy from Tharn Type. He had like a couple of like Thai celebrities and stuff. So like he's doing his thing. Bam Bam's clearly not fazed by having been serialized in a gay fan fiction at some point in the past. Oh my god. People are like, you have to cancel this show, and it's like, why? Why? like, why?
I laugh at that, but imagine if this was a Korean thing. We would actually have to be like concerned that something would happen.
Yeah,
like in
oh,
Thailand,
well, I hope you don't like it.
They don't give a shit in Thailand. They're just like, so what if it was GOT7 fan fiction? What are you gonna do about it? I'd like to see you try. We've made worse stuff than this.
Well, in other people leaving companies news, Dara, Sandara, former 21 member, is finally free of YG.
She's free.
She was the last one there, and she like stuck out. Which I was like, oh, I wish you hadn't, but I kind of like feel like I get what she was doing, especially because I read her like her note, because she wrote a note about like leaving, and it was on 21's anniversary. But she was talking about how when they disbanded, she kind of focused on other things, and I think that's what she did. She kind of used the time that she had on her contract as this is a guaranteed job. This is a guaranteed safe place. I'm going to use this time to kind of get my name out there and do a lot of like hosting work, which she has done a ton of, and use those time, like this time wisely. So like, I understand why she kept up with like YG after everybody had left. It was just a very good and smart business move, and just like almost kind of like she was just using it as like a training.
Yeah, like she used that connection in order to do the things that she wanted to do in the meantime.
And to kind of like figure out what she wanted to do. Because she did say at the end of the letter, she does talk about how she really, by doing all that, she realized that she really wanted to keep performing. So I'm hopeful that this will turn into stuff. I'm hopeful that there keeps on being rumors that they have like recorded something, like 21 has recorded something hasn't happened, and they're always like, no, it hasn't happened, but you're like, they're probably just saying that because legally they can't say anything.
I mean, there's already the hashtag, right? The 20 to anyone. Like, come on.
I'm just hopeful. I just want to see them all like succeed in whatever way that they want to, but like I do feel like they want to do stuff together, and they're always, if you follow all of them on social media, they've like, since they've been disbanded, they've always been very active with each other. And I know that doesn't say much because it's like social media, it's like outside, but I really do feel like they knew that their time was cut in not the right spot, and it wasn't their want, and I think they have something planned.
And at least they have they have the various infrastructure to make it happen.
Yeah. And obviously there's the fan base. We're all still here. We're like, yes, sure, do it. When hopefully that happens someday, everyone will be very, very happy. But yay, she's gone.
Yay! She's free. Freedom!
Free at last.
Yay.
When anyone chooses to stay at YG, like when ACMU re-signed,
I'm always like, why?
Well, initially I was bummed, and I think I've talked about this before, and I won't go into it a lot, but it's not that everyone has the same team or everyone has the same contract or connections or whatever. So everybody has a different experience, and it depends on what they want to do or what they're going through at the time. Like even now, the girl in ACMU, she's talked about she's been struggling this past year about not knowing if she wanted to keep performing, and it's kind of that age, because her brother said when he was that age he had that struggle too. And so like, if you don't know what you're going to do for a while, might as well stay put if you feel safe with your people.
It's the best thing, like personally, like I just feel like even though there are bad things about YG, it doesn't mean that everyone in that company is being affected by that. And there's also something to be said, like mentally, about like being able to be in a comfort spot, so that's not a worry. So like while you're figuring out all this other stuff, that's not an added bonus. You're not like the person who has to figure out all the management side and then figure out your makeup team and stuff. Like with Dara, like it's a little different because she probably has the same people and she could like find it. But like when you don't have to do all those extra parts because you're solo or free agent, that's a lot out of you, and that's a lot of money that you're essentially like blowing down the drain. Like I know that like it sucks, companies suck, but like they do eat a lot of the costs, like a lot of the costs that people don't think about that kind of just add up. And just like that added stress, like you just don't want to have to be like the manager and then you know the publicist and this and this and this and this and this and this. It just
like when you know you have this sizable team and you're like, do I want to piece out of having this sizable team to support me?
And
or
Dara,
stay
she
here
was doing stuff. She was like completely active. She was not ever in a situation where she wasn't doing things.
I was always surprised. She'd like pop up in random things I'd be watching for something else. I'm like, oh, she's a guest on this suddenly.
No,
like
I would be a guest, and she's like a full-time guest on the like that one show where it's like the all-female cast, like Na Rae was on it and a bunch of other comedians and stuff where they like just randomly, and then she kept up with her YouTube channel for a really long time, and then she was also in other like beauty like shows and that sort of thing, and then she was doing stuff in the Philippines or whatever, you know, like back and forth and stuff. And so
she's been making a bank.
I saw her pop up in King of the Masked Singer as, you know, one of the judge panelist people. I was like, oh, hey, like I had no idea you were there. I was like, cool.
Speaking of a singing show, there was a Chinese boy band show on, very popular, Youth With You, season 3. Leah from Blackpink was one of the judges. Had one episode left to go. One episode. They were down to the final, and they canceled the show because Tony was a front runner, and his parents may or may not have had ties to improper business procedures back like 15 years ago. So when this kid was like 5 or whatever, his family like helped run a karaoke business, and it may or may not have been used to sell drugs. It's not clear whether the business sold drugs or whether they just drug dealing was occurring in the karaoke bar and they were, you know, turning a blind eye to it, or if they had a business partner, it might have been entirely their business partner's stuff, sold off everything to them and moved to Canada in like 2008. And now this has come up because he's a front runner in the contest. And instead of just kicking him out and saying he can't be in the band, they completely canceled everything and like did not, like, no final show, no final episode, no band, all the other boys that were working for this, done, you're out. And like the whole thing is just gone.
I think this is so ridiculous because the kid wasn't dealing drugs in 2008.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how old was he in 2008?
It was something like, I think I read something like 8, like he was 8.
Yeah,
when he moved to Canada, like
this whole like, you know, like this happened, you know, like when like Microdot, the rapper who had to apologize for his parents possibly ripping someone off. It's like they had nothing to do with it. So what, their whole lives are ruined because their parents are dicks? Like this seems like a really, like the standards they keep raising for people to, you know, be in the public eye get more and more ridiculous as
have a job as an entertainer in any fashion. You have to have like this clean record, and your parents and maybe your grandparents 5 times over have to have
like
what?
Like, which is completely ridiculous,
right?
Yeah.
Like
it's so stupid.
Well, and you know, like they always, once there's one thing, right, they start piling on. So then on top of that, it was like China doesn't recognize dual citizenship, and he's a Canadian citizen. Like he's been living here forever. And when he first was on the show introducing himself, I'm Tony Yu from Canada. Okay, fine. And in a later interview, he said he was excited for the opportunity to, you know, represent China on a global scale. It's going to be a Chinese boy band. So yes,
Right.
he would be representing China. He can be Canadian now, but they're all like, make your mind. You can't decide whether you're Canadian or Chinese. And I'm like, what if he's both? Like, it just, oh my gosh, people.
Like the standards they keep trying to hold these kids to.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know him. Maybe he's a horrible, but like, then go after him for being a horrible person. Don't go after him because his parents were, and ruining the lives of all these other kids, potentially, right? Like destroying the dreams of all, like number 2 kid and the number 3 and 4 and 5, like all these other kids that thought that like this week they would be in a band and have a contract and be starting their careers, and now they're not because Tony's parents maybe let people deal drugs.
Well, and
maybe did.
And let's be real about the amount of people that probably affected on into the support teams and, you know, various company employees and all those things, like the people that had all the jobs lined up to make all this stuff happen once the group existed. But that's a lot of people. People keep on like getting offended about something ridiculous, causing direct harm to lots of people for no apparent reason, and then if you actually calculate the amount of like job loss and like emotional issues that like that causes, so many people get affected by this stuff that people are just pulling out of their butts. Like, what?
And you would think really like since this nonsense keeps happening, you would think that the show producers would do like detailed background checks on every single person who applies. But this one I think is particularly unfair because it's nothing he did. Like, he would have been a kid when and if any of this happened.
Oh, is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Well, looky there. Did I pick something? I'm trying to remember.
Apparently not.
I did, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, well, just side note. There is an attached Patreon clip to this, and so I'm not going to get as far as I usually would. So Asian Agent, they are an American company, or North American company at least. Do I really know what they do? Not really. It seems like they do publicity and stuff for some of the K-pop groups. I won't get into all their stuff, but they do handle ACE these days. And I'd say last month, because we haven't done a Noonas in a while. So like this, so this wasn't necessarily like last week or anything. But they announced that they were going to be doing these NFT packages to do with ACE, and it was going to be this cutting edge thing, and they were trying to make it sound really good. The fans did not take kindly to it. And said so. And it backfired severely to the point that Asian Agent then like released an open letter to Choice, which is the fan base. And it was pretty much like, we're going to do it anyway. So
yeah, it was a big fuck you, wasn't it? Like, it was just like a big middle finger to...
And really, I'm like, okay, if they all just boycott it. So the thing is, I really don't like NFTs. I'm not going to get into it because it's a thing. But NFTs are pretty crummy. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. So it's not like K-pop's this shining, pure thing. We know it as all consumer, you know.
Yeah.
It's a capitalist entity. We know this. It's a moneymaker in various ways. It's just that NFTs are pretty crummy. So that's that. There's a lot to go into that. But prior to that, Jeff Benjamin was even like, K-pop NFTs are coming. I remember when he said it. I actually wrote a quote tweet, and I was like, I said something like really mean, and then I deleted it because I didn't want to play that game.
You thought better of like, you're like, I don't need to invite this energy into my life right now.
I didn't even know it was associated with ACE or anything at that point. I just knew, like, I didn't want to see it. And it's, again, I'm not saying, oh, K-pop is on this pedestal and it's so pure and we need to keep it. No, I'm not saying that about K-pop. I'm saying NFTs suck and I'd rather them not be more places than they currently are. Like, already we played the photo card game. Just leave us at that. We don't need other stuff.
Right? Listen,
We
we're
already
already buying multiple versions of the same album. Like, let us live.
Well, there's that, and then, you know, you're starting to deal with things like VLive and Weverse, and then the thing that's gonna be the hybrid of the two, like whatever the crap that's gonna be. And if you really want to be on the special channel, you have to pay a membership for that, which is separate from the official membership. You know, as far as even paying for non-physical things, there are already plenty of opportunities to pay for non-physical things in the K-pop space. Same thing with access to online concerts, things like that.
Yeah.
We already pay for special access to things. We don't need other made-up online images. I mean, whatever the heck NFTs are. The thing is, Choice at the time, because I follow some of them, they were hardcore detective work with it, though. They figured out.
They always are, those friggin' internet detectives, man.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Asian. I think it was Asian Agent. The Twitter account followed this big NFT broker type person. It was either that or vice versa. Like, he followed them. You know, there was some Twitter relationship there that they figured out. And they're like, oh, ho, ho, that's where this all came from. This guy is, like, causing this to happen. And so they're all like, oh, no. And so they would go deep in on him and, like, figure out, like, NFT-wise what he was up. You know, they went far with it. And I was like, oh, shoot.
I just find it funny that, like, when the American companies come into the K-pop like areas and don't realize, like, they're like, oh yeah, I like have a grasp of what's going on. I know what like fandoms do.
They don't.
Stuff that do like the same. Like, if you look at like maybe like popular people like Taylor Swift or something like that, you know, some of those fandoms do act like K-pop, but like there's this like drastic difference, and they always like screw themselves over when they don't have any like liaison on their team. Like, the best like Western company would have to have a liaison who actually knows what it is, because like there's just K-pop is its own different thing. And also, like you're not getting away with anything. They can find out everything because it's all kids who have time to, like...
Yeah. And it's like, if they can find out things that are written in their non-native language and, like, buried on, like, websites that are only accessible to people who can, like, sign in with a Korean phone number, they can find out whatever the hell you're trying to hide. Nice try.
Yeah, like, you don't really have a stance on this. Like, like...
that is actually a really good point, though. Like, it's one thing to be a stan in your native language. So you're only used to researching or dealing with that so far, right?
Yeah, because basically you have everything like handed to you easily. Every article you get is written in your language. You can turn on any interview and guarantee that you're going to be able to like understand what that person is saying.
But if you're used to bending over backwards, even just to figure out what the heck is going on with your favorite people, yeah,
I'm telling you,
you're already primed.
Like, K-pop is raising a generation of researchers right now. Like, they can get to the bottom of anything. Sometimes they go take it to the wrong conclusions, but they can still get to the bottom of it.
And they can even make some stuff up on the way, and that's another thing. Like, K-pop fans, they can really, it's not that they can do whatever they want, but they're their own critter. Like,
and I love these, like, sort of Western companies that come into it thinking that it's, like, the same as, like, a Western fandom, and you're like, oh, honey child.
Like, all they think is, oh, these people are just, you know, they're maybe even more consumer driven, like, oh, they'll buy anything. No, it's like, oh no, you don't know anything.
we got some thoughts on what we will and will not spend our money on. Will we buy 10 copies of the same album? Sure. Will we buy like bootleg copies of that album? Not. If we want the sales and the numbers and the charts and the, you know.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, that's the saddest thing about this. I can think of at least 4 solid ways to get people to like NFTs and do it. And if they had just done the research, they would have had a gold mine. Now look at you. You got someone like basically doxxed.
Right.
They
like
played themselves.
You're really gonna say that these NFTs are really cool when they're probably just gonna be like, hey, here's a different digital picture than the other digital pictures that you see elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're making an NFT of an idol, you can make that cool really fast, actually. Like, that wouldn't have been very hard at all.
Anyway, if you want to hear more about our view on NFTs, we do have a special episode up there on Patreon.
Primarily mine. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay.
Hey, you're the only one who knew anything about it, so
it's true. It's up there on our Patreon for the Certified Fan Family if you're interested in that, along with many other videos and not videos and many other recordings and things.
There's some videos.
It's a good time. There's a few videos. There's a soupçon of videos. So I'm gonna take it back to the world of Chinese.
Got 7 fanfics.
No. I'm gonna take it back to the world of Chinese idol
competition shows.
Because
Okay.
there was a second show that did successfully complete, which was called Chuang 2021. It was on WeTV, which was looking to make a more international boy band. And the first thing that comes out of it is that if you're familiar with the Motive Village saga of the ex-Two Moons 2 actors, one of them actually made it. He is on the show. They briefly had a terrible boy band with all but one member of the cast of Two Moons 2, and the only one who was actually good at any of it, 9, actually made it into this show and is in the band, which is called Into One. However, that's great, but there was a much better story that emerged from this if you weren't following it. So there was a 27-year-old Russian man who was working as a translator, and some of the contestants dropped out of the show. So the producers thought he was good looking, so they convinced him to sign on to the show to fill out the numbers. And he agreed because he thought he would immediately get voted out because he has no talent in singing or dancing.
He also has no interest in
No
any of
interest in
this.
being an idol.
No, he wants to be a model. Like that.
Yeah, he was just going to be a seat filler, for an episode, maybe 2. Unfortunately, the viewers loved him, and they kept voting for him almost until the final round. And this was despite the fact he would put no effort into any of the things he was supposed to do and would actively in his interviews be like, please stop voting for me. Don't vote for me. I don't want to do this. Please set me free. And they just thought that this embodied this I hate my job relatable thing. So they loved him.
I have to go to work, so do you, sucker.
They pretty much saw him and they were like, mood. I have to keep seeing
mood. And he was like, please stop loving me. You will get no love in return from me. I don't want to do this. And so when he was finally voted off, normally when the people are voted off, they're all sad. He was like, all right, peace out. Thank you for not voting for me. I'm out.
Literally ran off the stage.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. I'm out. I'm free. And oh my god.
So his name is Lelush, or however they say it.
His stage name was Lelush or whatever, but oh my god, I was the saga of this poor 27-year-old trapped on this.
You've got a bunch of CFs now, so
yeah. Even recently, he had a CF with some of the other guys that ended up in the group or whatever.
Yeah.
And during the CF, he does his whole he puts it, crosses his arms in front of himself as an X to be like, don't vote for me, because I guess that was kind of
because there's this thing where he'd be like, no, but then people just loved his I hate my job attitude, and felt
and
a kinship with him.
Normal managers and bosses, they forced him into something.
Yeah,
good job.
Yeah, and so he couldn't quit without paying a huge cancellation on the contract fee. So the only way he could escape wants to get voted off.
Like, it's all very funny, but I also feel very bad for him.
Bad
No,
for
it's
him.
terrible.
So,
Yeah.
But this is probably a good learning experience for him. I just love that he was like older than everyone on the show, like did not think he would be there more than an episode, was just like, yeah, I'm just filling in a seat, like I have no talents at this, I have no desire to do this, but like, poor guy. But also,
but of course, like,
before agreeing to something like this again, you know,
as far as crazy internet fans deciding like, haha, we'll keep him on, like that doesn't,
like,
it also doesn't shock me that they like thought that was funny.
Because like,
you know?
he was basically a meme that like,
living meme.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the saga of Lelush.
But
congratulations, 9, on getting into the group, because he actually wanted to. So
when they did announce the final group and Lelush was finally cut free, there were just a lot of, I had no clue what the backstory was, but I saw on my timeline just periodically like, Lelush is free, and then I saw a clip of him like running off the stage. I'm like, what are they talking about? And then some articles came out explaining, and I was like, oh, so they call it like Lelush Freedom Day, but it was also when they ended up like announcing the group and stuff.
Like, but just imagine if like he had got into it, he'd be stuck in this group. But I feel like
they probably made sure that wasn't.
Like, but I feel like if that had happened, he'd probably have put some effort into it, because like it matters to the other kids. And he doesn't seem like a total asshole. He just seems like a dude who was like, you know, for his head.
How sad is it for the people that actually wanted to do it?
Yeah,
and got voted off in favor of him,
right?
And that like that has to like mess with him too.
Right.
Like it has to like weigh on him, and like it would have like if he had gotten in, that would also be a thing. Like,
which is why he kept begging people to stop voting for him. He's like, other people want this, I don't. Stop voting for me.
And of course,
so this isn't really on him. Like, this isn't a criticism on him.
No.
He thought he was just going to be there one episode because other people had dropped out and they needed like a certain number to start with. Like, honest stupidity. But oh my god, poor guy.
It's definitely a lesson in don't trust like public to like work in your best interests on anything.
We should just already know that. Like, think of the times that they're like, we're gonna let the internet name this boat or something, and then it
Bodie McBoatface. That's right.
Like, this is
Bodie
what's gonna happen. Don't give people power. This is just don't give internet people power. That's just really like this is the theme of this entire episode.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
No, I'm gonna go take us into like K-drama land. The production company Studio Dragon, which you all know, even if you don't know, they produce major dramas. They have some sort of partnership with Netflix, so you see a lot of it on Netflix. They just signed a 20 billion won deal with the webcomic studio YLAB for like a partnership in producing webcomics into live action adaptations, which is like not a new thing. Like, because we already see webcomics being turned into live adaptations, but it is a new thing in terms of a studio partnering with another studio in the intent to do stuff. And if you don't know, like, a lot of the background on Studio Dragon, they do a lot of these kind of partnerships a lot. They've started to kind of try to essentially make a drama into a full thing with, like, they are the ones that are like the ones producing musicals from the dramas. Like they started with another Oh Hey Young, and they're doing like Hotel de Luna and
Crash Landing on You.
Like, so they're doing that, and so like this kind of like web comic thing is like a big deal because it's the first one that's like it's an actual tied like partnership between the two, which means that like if you are a fan of YLAB, like some of the stories that you see in that could be guaranteed to be in a drama because now they have like this like backing. They are starting with Island, the K-drama is their first official collaboration, and then they have another one lined up for in a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's been probably about a month since this was released, so they've probably done some more things, but I just think it's really kind of it's cool, it's interesting. I generally like what Studio Dragon produces,
same.
so that's why I kind of like that they're doing all this stuff. I think it's interesting. As a musical theater person, I think it's interesting to see a production company that is kind of like really big on like partnering with like other people and doing kind of these like real just like big things off of one, you know, production. And I think this will be a good thing for webcomics, because I feel like it's just so up in the air right now that like it's nice for a webcomic studio to have a guaranteed line of money and income, and to know that this is going to happen, because obviously webcomics turning into live action shows aren't stopping. So it's not like this is just like ruining webcomics. This is already the path it's going to be. It's just there's an actual like partnership with it, which I think is really cool. And then also, like, to tie into this, because I just talked about Island, there's been some changes in Island, which they haven't started doing anything with it yet, so it didn't affect anything like the actual like recording. But originally Soyeji was supposed to be the lead, and she had been attached to it since like last year when it was like announced. And because of all the stuff that happened and all the things with which she did while she was dating one kid, maybe
like,
we don't.
Maybe
I mean, like,
did like
I don't. Yeah, it's a big mess.
Listen, that's their own business. Yeah.
And so she left the production, and right now, my favorite Idahi is in talks to be the lead.
Hey yo,
which I'm very excited
I don't
for.
hate it. I don't hate it.
I want it. So
yeah, I'm very excited for Island.
I'm really excited. And if you don't know, Island is actually contracted to be 2 seasons. They're like 10 episodes each, but like already guaranteed 2 seasons. So just remember that if you're whatever happens with the script, I don't know the script, but I would assume there's going to be a cliffhanger at the end of episode 10. Just know that season 2 is already supposed to be a thing.
I remember
creepy, which I'm into.
I also saw that whenever they had the changes in Soji leaving and all those things, they were going to go revisit and rewrite a little bit, and they weren't, just to kind of flesh characters out more and just feel like they made a point to kind of explain it. It's not like they didn't just say, hey, we're rewriting. They kind of explained a bit on. So they made it sound very positive. They at least made it sound good. So hopefully it was a positive thing as far as they got a little bit more time to hopefully do what they wanted to do. Because
it seems like an Idahi role. So like I'm like,
yeah, it does.
It kind of works out. There was someone else that they had like there was like in the talks for a little bit, and I was like, I don't know about them. And then like the Idahi news just like literally like a day or two ago it came out, and I was like, oh yes, no, this is what I want. This is it.
I mean,
she would kick tail with it, like
I'll watch her pretty much do anything. So
yeah, same.
So well, by the time you guys are listening to this, it's already out. The song's already out, but the BTS the teaser for their new song Butter came out, and literally within seconds in the Road to Hagdom group chat, the old lady hags were like, are they sampling Queen in that? That sounds like Queen. Are they just copying Queen? Like, you know, because it's just a teaser, right? So it's just a few seconds. So like immediately you're hearing from people and they're like, wait a minute, hang on. But like almost simultaneously, the official Queen Twitter released something saying, yeah, that's us on the song. So it was clear that they knew, right? They knew how people are going to be, how K-pop fans
someone at the Queen
be.
official Twitter knows what's up.
Right? Exactly.
Remember
and
that time
like,
people like kind of knew what sampling was, and they just run with their own like definition of it. They're gonna like yell at people who sample.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an official sample. So we'll see how it's gonna be. by now you're listening and you know whether you like the song or not.
You're in the future. You're in the future.
We have
You know
no
what
clue.
the song is like.
So I don't know. I mean, the teaser clip looks kind of cute. The boys all bopping their heads, and you know, Queen is a good choice. I mean, if you're gonna sample,
if you're gonna sample, like
sample
Queen's pretty sampleable,
great.
So you can do worse.
Yeah, I mean, it could be fabulous. I hope for them it is. I hope it's great. I know too by now. I just don't know now.
Future Amanda knows.
Future Amanda knows whether she likes this song
will
or
know
not.
the answer to this question.
I will come out with. I know this is shocking that I'm gonna have like Cha Unu news. Like I know
You?
What?
it's a surprise.
The gasp.
In fact, how about I just double up and do him and Rocky? Might as well just
All the
Do it out.
throw it all together.
Let's put it all together.
Little
So-
corner.
So let's back up and talk about Rocky for a second. He was on King of the Masked Singer since I mentioned that I was watching it the other day. That was the thing. So in case you don't know, which you probably have a small grasp, even if you don't watch the Korean version of King of the Masked Singer, since there is a strange American version, I don't know why. You probably know how it works, but in case you don't watch it, the thing about King of the Masked Singer, you don't know who it is.
Mhm.
And in the Korean version, if you pass the first round, you have to wait to the next episode to see the second round type thing. So what happened was there was a person and we're all like, that seems like it's Rocky. But
Mhm.
he tried to cover up how good he was at dancing. Like he made a point to be sneaky. Like he was very purposeful. But like his character, what was it? I want something about wanting to be a good son is because like supposedly the character like left his mom in order to go on the show or something. He's a big mama's boy in real life. So, but the mask had it's like sad crying eyes. That's strange. Anyway, so it really didn't sound like him at first, but we're all like, we think that's him, but we had to wait another week. So then the only time you know it's them is when they lose. Like when they finally take their mask off is when they get someone else gets voted that they win. So second week we're like, oh, it was him. So it was a good time. He did a really good job. That was fun. In the second round, he sang an IU song that was very, very, very pretty. So you might want to check it out. He did a really good job. The Chanu news is that he has been casted in a movie, which he's been in a movie before, but this is like an actual, like, much bigger role. He's still a supporting actor. There's a heck ton of people on this movie. It's called Decibel. Kim Rae-won, Lee Jong-suk. Lots of people. It's about the Navy. You know, I think it's supposed to be a suspenseful thing as far as I can tell. But that's exciting. Yay. Film.
That's exciting. Okay, I'm gonna take it to one of my boys. I'm gonna talk about Sehun for a second. He's still wonderful. He hasn't done anything bad.
It's good to preface that.
Yes, he did reveal that he gets about 100 calls a day from Saesangs. And he revealed this on a V Live that kept getting interrupted by Saesangs calling him to, like, prove his point. And then you might be asking yourself, well, why doesn't he just change his number? Apparently he has changed his number several times, and they keep finding the new one, so he just gave up.
Woo Young has also had that issue.
Yeah, this is some fucked up shit, people. If they ain't your friend, don't call them. You have no business calling these people. The irony of, like, you know, him saying something that seems so outrageous, like, Saesangs call me 100 times a day and harass me. And then during the V Live getting several calls from Saesangs harassing him. Like, dude, let the man live. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Jesus. Just stop.
It's that all around. He doesn't need to be experiencing it. That obviously those people are very mentally unwell and they need help and nobody's helping them.
And, you know, the problem is that, well, the obvious problem is that, but, like, he can't get mad, because if he gets mad or cusses them out or tells them to go to hell, suddenly he's a bad guy who's bullying fans. So he's being held hostage by their insanity. I feel bad. Like, it's so insane. Like, you know, this is stalking behavior. Like, if he was anyone else, he would be getting a restraining order against these people. But because he's a celebrity, it's treated like it's fair game, and he should, like, you know that's what he was signing up for. Like, he was like 16 when he joined SM. There's no way he knew what he was signing up for. You know what I mean? Like,
right, these kids.
And this shouldn't be what you're expected to endure. Just because
is this like a
celebrity
standard? Like, that doesn't.
Like,
I'm going to piggyback off that for 2 seconds. I saw in passing that, like, recently, this past week, ATEEZ was going somewhere, and I think they pretty much got mobbed, and you know how that's always a thing. And they really didn't have any bodyguards with them to speak of, or definitely not enough to, like, deal with something like that. I guess I don't understand, especially when you're talking about the groups, that they have a roundabout number, you know, they kind of know how many people closely follow them.
Yeah.
As far as EXO, like the very popular groups, they know how many people, how recognizable they are to the public at large, and how many fans they have just based on social media interactions and all those things. So you would just really think that there would be more protection.
It just reminds me of that video of NCT 127 where someone rushed at Taeyong, and then, to their credit, the bodyguard was having none of it. Like, the bodyguard was just like, hand to the chest, shove that person away. But Taeyong looked terrified.
He was terrified.
And it's like, don't do this. Like, you can have pleasant fan interactions with celebrities. You don't have to make them hate you.
What is it gonna get you? Like, nothing. Like, it's not gonna get you anything. Your outcome is not arrested.
Yeah. And it's like, it's one of those, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should situations. Like, just because you can find out a celebrity's phone number and call them 100 times a day doesn't mean you should do that, because that's insane.
And again, I'm like, where's the laws? There should be this is
clearly
not just basic I mean, the companies need to step up too. I know that some are not doing their jobs in that respect. I'm not defending the companies that are being lackadaisical with that, because that sucks. And definitely they need to be maintaining their, you know, blacklisting things, and they have to be very active about those things. But like, when it comes to, like, the phone harassment, you know, the things that they could document and maybe start actually taking.
Well, just get those numbers, follow those numbers back to those people. Make sure that those phone numbers are on the, like, you cannot sign up for accounts, for fan accounts with those phone numbers lists and stuff like that. Like,
or just, you know, give it to the police, and the police should really, that is part of their job, because this is harassment.
Well, just at the end of March, they introduced a heavier penalties to stalking, like they're an anti-stalking law, literally passed 235 to 0 votes.
Oh wow.
It's like, until now, stalking had been categorized as a misdemeanor and was punished with only a fine not exceeding 100,000 won, not even $100,
gross,
or 29 days in jail. And so under the new law, acts of approaching, following, or blocking a victim against his or her will, waiting for or observing a victim in and around his or her residence, workplace, or school, and causing anxiety, fear through mail, telephone, or IT networks are illegally categorized as acts of stalking. Stalkers can face up to 3 years in prison or a 30 million won fine. Punishment could be aggravated to a maximum of 5-year imprisonment or a fine of 50 million won.
So be warned, Saesangs. Your days are numbered.
As long as companies help, you know, they have to be the liaison to, you know, help their artists get that done.
You can't expect the artists to show up at the police station themselves. Like, no, there's, like, the lawyers at these companies should be dealing with this. Like, it's, you know, because it's an employment hazard. It's not like a personal life hazard. Like, if they were just a regular person, this wouldn't be happening. So this is an employment issue.
It affects everyone at the company, because, like, all the like staff members are getting stalked to get access to. Like, there's no one in your company that's safe. Like,
Yeah.
Or
Not even the freaking
benefits
janitors.
you to like do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it is awful when some of the companies don't do what they should. Like Jesse, you've told us before about how 2PM's had a lot of problems with that in the past. That's really sad.
Yeah, because all it does is it tells the person that you accept what they're doing as okay. It just gives them that.
It emboldens other Saesangs as well.
Yeah.
So it's
no,
like,
everybody sees it and it's like, oh, they didn't get hurt, so that means it's an okay thing, or I'm allowed to do it because there's no consequences of it.
Yep.
Anyways, let's go back to K-dramas.
Yay!
So Taxi Driver, which I'm not caught up on, but maybe you have. I don't know what episode they're on right now, but it either affects you now or affects you in the future.
I feel like, aren't we kind of up on 10, or are we already at, I mean, it's clicking along, isn't it?
It's clicking along. But it has been announced that there has been a writer change starting from episode 11. And the statement was, it says, writer Oh Sang-ho has agreed to drop out due to differences in view and the work direction between writer and PD.
Oh, this is a mistake
So
by the PD.
Here, like, okay, we've already seen this, like with other dramas.
Every time.
A near one is Uncanny Counter, where they had a writer change in the middle. And obviously, we don't know all the circumstances. It could be for more of a reason, because it could be a legal thing that they can't talk about it more. Like, you never know the actual thing. It could be the person, that writer was like actually a terrible human being. So it's not even a creative thing. It was like literally a amount of safety, but they can't talk about it. You don't know these things. However, always when you just like kind of see it and you're like, oh, it's just the PD like someone else and like forced someone out of a job. And it never goes right. It never goes. You can tell when the writing changes, and you can tell when it gets like sloppy and things like are mishandled, and you're like, I just don't understand how you get this far with like all this stuff, and like now you're getting rid of them. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. We're so far into this Taxi Driver that we've already had like an actress change in it because of the bullying scandal thing. I'm not gonna say that like it's for sure that it could be damaging, but like it most of the time it is damaging. It's not,
it usually doesn't go great,
especially when you're dealing with something that has like layers to it and stuff, because certain things may not have been revealed yet, and now you wind up with like dead ends or like, you know, stuff just going loose.
You're not dealing with one of the more like simple, like, let's admit some rom-coms are fairly simple in and out when it comes to like details of reveals or things. There aren't that many to reveal quite often.
Like Taxi Driver, you have to be there for the very beginning and have been part of the pre-planning and like the pre-work on it, and like just getting handed stuff. Not to say that every writer can't do it, because there are some great writers that are able to match what the writing is. That's why there are writers out in this world who can write like 50 books a year magically, because they have ghostwriters to do them. But what we've seen and what is like the norm for the Korean entertainment is that it normally isn't good. Like, and isn't, I don't know if it's literally because it being forced into a different writer, whether it be the PD just like is being a terror and wants to write, you know, a different writer, or that writer was being terrible and their hand is tied and they have to move, but it's still never works out, and it's always the dramas that I want to watch and that need a consistency. Like Taxi Driver needs it. Like, obviously I haven't caught up with it, so I don't know if like already like the consistency is not there, because it very well could be, but like, you know,
I find it more concerning when it is these shows that have that type of tone. It is the reveal thing, and it is that, but it's also a tonal issue. Like, if you're chugging along for 10 episodes and the show has to strike quite a tone between how they are handling comedy, if they are at all, and when they are, it's a certain way, because the true to life stories that they're basing stuff on is like a big deal. Like, they've struck quite a tone the bit that I've seen of Taxi Driver. Yeah, that's why always the tone too. Like, yes, all the reveals and stuff, but like, please don't mess up the characters at this point. That's what I'm always like, oh, don't all of a sudden make a character do something that's not what they would do in their motive. That's usually because I feel like that's what happens.
Yeah, what it always makes me think of is that drama Temperature of Love, and she played a drama writer. And I just always remember there's like a scene where she's yelling at the PD because she's like, why did you change the scene? Like, you didn't talk to me beforehand. You just completely changed the scene. And he's like, because I thought it would look cooler. And she's like, but like, did you remember the scripts from, like, we've written the scripts for the next like 8 episodes. And do you remember the big reveal that comes down the road? Now we can't do that because you just killed it. Like, because you thought it would look cool. And like, are you stupid? And the PD's like, well, that's your job. Figure it out. Make it work. And it's like, I already did make it work. I wrote the story and you said, this is a cool story. I'm going to make it. So make it. I don't want to talk about like downer stuff all the time, but one of the things that I saw recently, an article about was Na Rae. She had a YouTube thing, like a show, a comedy kind of show on YouTube. She's left that show under accusations of sexual harassment. Now, I need to be clear here because we don't condone sexual harassment. We don't support harassers. What she did was she basically took a Ken doll, put his hand on his crotch, and made some joke about masturbation with like a Ken doll, like literally like a Barbie doll, a male doll she took and made some kind of crass joke, sex joke. And that's all. Male netizens went nuts and said, this is sexual harassment.
Is it though?
Is it? I'm not sure that making sex jokes is sexual harassment. I don't know. I haven't seen
a woman that she's a sexual being is not harassment.
Right?
It's so just that you're misogynist asshole.
Exactly. It's like, in order for that to be sexual harassment would be if it was directed at you in a like harassing way.
I mean, maybe if there was like a guy there and she was like, I could see a situation where,
but that's not what happened.
I'd be uncomfortable. But like, it's comedy, and did she maybe cross a line? Okay, but sexual harassment? The police are looking into it. The police. The police who are letting like Sehun get 100 harassing phone calls every day and doing nothing about it are worried about the Barbie doll. Like, has the Barbie doll like pressed a complaint? I don't know. It's also on that I Live Alone show, and there was a section of that was filmed since this happened where she's like went home to visit her parents and she's like, I give dad, and he's like, were you funny? Did you do your job? Like, yeah, baby girl, like, you're fine. Like I've seen her stand up. It's all sex jokes. Like, this was very on par. What did you think you were gonna get?
Most of her stuff is on I Live Alone. It's the same way too. Like, I get it because like
it's misogyny.
And Korea has like a terrible problem. I'm not saying that like not everyone does. We have a problem too, but they have an extremely terrible problem, and they have a patriarchal society. So this is just, it's literally baby males who are like whining, complaining because they want something to go their way, and this is their way of doing it. By bullying, remember, you don't like bullying, Korea, like what was happening. By bullying someone who does this all the time. Like, it's not even like she was like in front of a kid doing it. Like, if she was in front of a kid doing it, then we could talk, but she wasn't.
Yeah, but she was with other adults who laughed at the joke.
Here's the thing that I'm going to bring up about Na Rae. She's done some racist stuff before. There's been mistakes have been made with her comedy. And, you know, that's not the thing that people, you know, they're not actually pointing to something that is an actual problem. You know, no one speaks about things that are actually not good. They get their feelers hurt about literally nothing from a comedian who her shtick is sex jokes. That is what her shtick is.
A masturbation joke ain't it, champ. It ain't it.
Which means they were consuming her content with the aim of getting something against her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to them, this crosses the line, which question mark, if you look at, even if you do watch her stand-up comedy stuff, it's like, there could have been a lot of other stuff. Like, if you're wanting to pick on something, like, there's others.
Like, I hate to say it, but, like, making a masturbation dick joke about a Ken doll is not the crime you think it is.
Right.
Like,
It's not the crime you should be paying attention to.
No,
right.
Because there are
not
a lot of
crime
other
at
really
all,
terrible
actually.
things that are going
real
on that
sexual
you could be
harassment
using.
going on in Korea. Like, in the entertainment
You could be using your voice
there's
for
real
that.
things. Like,
mhm.
get mad about that stuff. Like,
And in case you haven't noticed, it usually, just like Jesse was saying, it usually is a female comedian or actress or K-pop idol. All of a sudden they either say that they're a feminist or they make a joke that is directed towards men or something, and then all of a sudden they become like an actual legal trouble.
This is so exhausting that they're actually putting resources into this.
Ridiculous.
There's literal, like, male actors who have been very shamelessly sexually harass and rape people, and nothing gets done about them. But no, one masturbation joke, and suddenly, like, the whole fucking squad has to leap into, like, action.
My follow-up doesn't relate at all to that tonally,
That's
so
okay.
we're just gonna go right on to
All over
just,
for me.
nice,
Something new.
nice positive news. I'm gonna put a few things together. To kick it off, Ace's Wow. He was on hiatus. He really wasn't on hiatus for that long. I want to say it was probably just a month or two. It felt like longer just because of the timing of it. But he was on hiatus for mental well-being for a little bit, and he just now got back. He performed with them recently on something, and it was good. And like, it was good to see him. So he's back. Speaking of people coming back, N.FLYING's Sehun, he came back from Japan, and again, he's been back a little bit, about a month or so, but we haven't done Noonas in a while. So like, I was checking the time. So he's back, and speaking of comebacks, N.FLYING is gonna have a comeback in early June.
It's like a full album.
I love these
is what
full
last
album.
I
First
heard.
Yes, it's their first full album. I'm so excited. And also, today, as of recording, it is their 6th anniversary.
Oh,
yay!
And if you don't know anything about N.FLYING, we got you because we have a full episode of them and Day 6.
You get the double header, baby.
Yeah.
Double header.
So if you need some like good recs, just to know how great we think N.FLYING is, you should check out that episode.
You can check her out. Despite the fact that I normally really hate competition shows because I think they're painful, I have been watching Kingdom. Boy, it's been a trip. I actually do like a YouTube series with a couple other people on Aussie K-Pop Mom's channel about it every week. We talk about that episode, whatever. However, Icon's been getting the real shaft from, like, MNET has been, like, the whole situation has been a total fucking mess. Like, MNET is just very clearly, like, being shifty about how this competition is set up, like, starting with, like, in the earlier episodes, they only told half the people that they had a bigger budget than they did, which led to, like, Icon B2B and SF9 having much lower production value on their stages than AT's Stray Kids and The Boys. And then, like, you know, there's whole thing about, like, the lighting team is, like, really being, like, just, who did they just only hire people who are very new to lighting stages? Who knows? The recent saga, which may or may not be MNET's fault, this may be on YG, but it's shifty nonetheless as to what's been happening, is that all the groups are all getting special cover issues of First Look magazine, except Icon. So, all the groups except Icon are going to have special cover editions. Now, I'm not saying this was MNET, but Icon didn't want to do this show to begin with. Like, so it seems shifty. Also, there's like been another thing we found out that Monsta X was invited and they turned it down, and since then, strangely, there's been no performances from Starship groups on any of the MNET music shows. Interesting.
Interesting. Yep.
I just wish they'd be more, less transparent with how ridiculous they are. Like,
because I heard that like B2 didn't want to do it either, but they basically got like reeled into it because they were pretty much blackmailing company.
Yeah, they were
like,
pretty much
either
like,
you send somebody or you never appear on our channel again, kind of thing.
I think SF9 was the same situation, and it's really interesting because like most of these shows, like these MNET shows, they rely on like editing to make like the people on the show seem like, mean to each other. Yeah, but there's no, like, you can't do it on this show. There's no way, because they're all just like, oh my god, like, I love everyone. We're like best friends now. Like, there was this whole thing where it was like this whole just extended scene of ATs and Icon like exchanging phone numbers and being like, hey, like, where's your dorm? Like, oh shit, our dorm's near there. Like, we should get together and like have dinner and all this. And then it's just like, you can't make that seem shifty. So they've been doing other things like, they have these like panel of like secret experts who like judge the performances, but they never tell you who they are or like in what the metrics are for like judging these performances. And then so recently on the last episode, they actually showed you like their special judges for this because they had collaboration stages where like 3 of the groups collaborated and then the other set of 3 collaborated to do like one vocal performance, one rap performance, and then one like dance performance, right? So like they split up the groups. So they had like Donghae and Shindong from Super Junior, and they had, Leah Kim, who's like a really famous choreographer, and Shinshadong Tiger, and they had all these people. But then they also had these, I actually feel really bad about this. They had all these rookie groups, like Tribe and Mira, anyway, who then had to sit there and judge them. And I think that's great that they have this, but I also think that they're setting these rookie groups up for fan war failure.
Yeah.
At this point. Because, like, luckily they aren't saying who the groups voted for. Like, gosh. Thank God. But, like,
they're also
the fact that, like, they have them, like, it just is.
Honestly, you have to know, though. You have to know that they do not want to judge their sunbays on literally anything.
No, and especially, like, they know, like, I'm not even saying this, like, as a mean thing. They know where they are, like, musically, and some of those, like, girls in the group know that they are not producers or any sort of music person. They know that, like, they work well with someone else telling them how to do music, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In that respect, why would you want to be in a, like, position where you're, like, supposed to be using that sort of, like, knowledge to help your vote?
Also, it's kind of a slap in the face, I'm sorry, to people like Shinsadong Tiger and stuff. Like, those are not similar people. Like,
no.
I think that it's fair to, like, have some rookies on there, because then let's, because basically it's like, it's nice for them to, like, experience this sort of thing, and then they can also give sort of a younger person's impression of, like, whatever. But
to me,
at the same time, they had more rookies than they did actual experts. And it's just like,
to me, I'm not saying that they're not allowed to, like, have an opinion on the show or whatever. I would say, here's our expert panel, have actual experts on the expert panel. That's all the expert panel. Then you have, here's cute rookie groups giving just general population opinion.
Yeah, like as a fan, which I can see because they are young enough that these would be not just like their like I like the people that they look up to in their industry, but like people that they grew up listening to.
Even
so
like
that.
Like Stray Kids, ATEEZ, and the boys were like, "Holy shit, B2B's here! Oh my god, Icon's here! Oh my god!"
My favorite thing is actually watching the B2B performances because like.
Oh my god, they're so good.
All the reactions of the other groups, they're pretty much like, they'll be like crying, like holding up little, scrolly things on their phones.
They're like, being like, "We love you!"
They're like singing along to the B2B songs, like swaying all together. It's like, that's
just my favorite thing. That's my favorite K-pop thing, period, is watching your favorites, like, fangirl or fanboy over their favorites. I love it. It's so cute.
Like if it was just like a collaboration, like stage show.
People love seeing their face with other people.
Love that shit.
Love it. It's a thing.
Also, if you haven't already, listeners, you should go check out B2B. So in one episode they had to do covers of other group songs, like the other groups in the show. If you haven't watched them cover Stray Kids Backdoor, you are missing out on one of the greatest, like, because you're thinking, how the fuck can B2B, these 4 dudes in their 30s who aren't really known for their dancing skills, perform a song by Stray Kids? How would they do it to make it, like, fit for that? It's incredible. It's literally incredible. And I'm, like, if you watch it, you'll be like, I gotta look into these B2B fellas. Like, the show has incredible performances. It's just unfortunate that it has all the MNET shit. Because, like, everything except for the scoring is phenomenal.
Since I don't watch a lot of the in-between crud, but I do see clips periodically of pretty much B2B giving TVXQ's Chongmin just a really hard
such a hard time.
Max,
such a hard time.
He just always looks like, I don't know what to do with you, so I'm just going to kind of ignore what you just said to me and move on.
Well, because he wasn't supposed to be the sole host of this. And while I love him, I think he's great. He's not great on his own as a host. Like, especially not, like, because all of these groups are incredibly chaotic. And so you really needed Yoonho there to add to the energy. But since he's in netizen jail over going to dinner, he was unable to be past the first 2 episodes. So it's him just stuck. Like, they had a sports day episode, which was hilarious, because, like, why? Who knows? But it was wonderful. Sports day was a delight. There was absolutely no performances, but it was a delight. And they had him, like, they pulled, like, members of the group to come, like, help, like, be, like, sports commentators on these, like, just absolutely stupid sports that they're doing. Like, they were just doing, like, a vaulting horse, and they were like, yes, so Maniac's known for having the highest vaulting horse of, like, any idol ever, which is true, apparently. He can, like, vault horse, like, 3 meters or something crazy like that. Like, anyway, the whole thing was hilarious. Everything except for the scoring on this show is fantastic. But then MNET just has to be MNET, so womp womp.
So I'll do a little bit of a 2 p.m. corner. Just a little, it's just a little brief, because next Noonas, I'm sure I'll have more news. And we'll probably, I mean, we haven't, I don't think, scheduled when we're doing our next Noonas episode, so I don't know if it's going to be after their comeback or not. We have gotten word, we knew that it was going to be in June. Like, it was established, and I'm pretty sure, like, I may even have talked about it last time about their comeback being in June, but officially it's going to be in late June, which I kind of also figured. It just seems like late June was going to be it. So 2 p.m. is coming back. Woo! Late June. I'm, like, extremely excited for it. They are really making it hard to ever do anything else and not sleep, because I kid you not, almost every day there's been a V Live.
Oh my gosh.
Every day. And then Wooyoung does, like, lives on Instagram a lot, because he just sits there and for, like, 8 hours and plays his like 3,000 records. He literally literally, and I'm like, you think I'm joking, but, like, I'll, like, go to sleep and wake back up and he's still on his live, and I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening? But they've been doing a lot. They've been pushing a lot. They've been doing a lot of things elsewhere. There's like the Asia actors thing, and both Junho and Taecyeon are labeled as like, it's like the top Korean actors thing, society. I don't know what it is. But they were there. Both Junho and Tech have dramas that are coming up towards the end of the year. They've been kind of like officially announced, but like obviously the dates can change. So Tech has one, Royal Secret Agent Joy. It probably has like 8,000 different names too. It's supposed to be in the beginning of November. And then Junho's is Red Sleeve, and it's supposed to be in the beginning of October. Obviously they're going to change because remember, Korean dramas like to forget things like pre-planned national holidays that they've had for hundreds of years that won't have like shows. And then obviously like things could change also too because of other things, you know, that sort of thing. They're both historical, so Jessica will probably not watch them, but they're not doing, you know, they got some stuff planned, especially exciting because, you know, Junho just got out of the military. I Married an Anti-Fan is out now, which is Saesang's show that he had recorded well before he got into the military. So we're glad that's out, and I'm sure everybody's watching it. It's on Viki and IQIY. I think IQIY might have like all of the international rights to it. So if you're outside of like North America, I think like that's your best bet on finding it.
I think the IQIYI rights, they're kind of confusing. I was just going to say that as an aside. Because, for instance, I thought that the show Imitation was going to be on IQIYI, because that's where I saw a lot of people talking about it. I go on there, it's not on there for me. And then I saw somebody else saying it wasn't on there for them. So my assumption is for the US, I don't think that
it's on Viki.
It's on Viki for us.
Yeah.
So like, it's like really weird, especially because they had announced it on IQIYI for a while before Viki ever said like I Married an Anti-Fan. They said that it was going to be on that, and because that platform is, they're international, but they include us. Like it's not like we ever can't watch stuff in there. I just thought it was that because they also do the thing where they produce shows too, so they have the rights to it, kind of like how like Viki will do. It's like they produce shows, but like just as an FYI, producing, literally to be a producer, all you have to do is put some money into the you don't ever have to step foot on site. If you can be a producer. So it's not like it's that exciting. They can just like throw some money, which is essentially, you know, and get some rights to it. But it's weird because then they also, IQIY took the rights of the second season of Drama World, which is like
a Viki original.
Not only is it a Viki original, like I'm not saying we can we claim it, but it literally is a girl from North America going into like a Korean drama. Like it's not an international drama.
Right.
That seems weird that like Netflix or Viki didn't get it first, because Viki had it and then Netflix got the right to it after a while to like air it, and you could watch it there for a while. But it's just like, then it became a thing like I couldn't find it accessible too. So now I just didn't watch it. It's been months since it's like come out, and I just didn't watch it.
I haven't been able, like, I was actively looking for season 2 for a while, and I got sick of looking for it, so I just kind of gave up for now.
I like literally, there was one night I just spent some time and I was like researching it, and I finally found like all these articles about how IQIY had it, and it was literally airing the next day, and then it wasn't showing up for me, and I kept on like trying to figure it out, and then it didn't happen. And then I was like, well, maybe it's gonna be like what the other things have been doing, and it didn't show up on Viki, and I don't understand that. Anyways, 2 p.m. they will be coming back, and they're doing a lot of stuff. If you are not in, like, haven't been paying attention, they've been doing a lot of stuff. Also, their 10th year anniversary for their Japanese release just was like 2 days ago. So there have been things on that, and they've been releasing stuff, and now they just have more merch out for Jessie to want to buy, and I can't. But I'm very excited about the album because it's been so long, and I'm pretty sure that like just this past week is when they recorded the music video for it. So
Jessie to 2 p.m. is like, I am very small and very poor, so you can imagine the type of pressure I'm under right now.
This is so, and like, I'm one of those weirdos that like 2 p.m. is like one of my main photo card groups.
Oh.
Which, if you don't know anything about photo cards, JYP is terrible. So terrible. Especially my second group is Day 6. I don't know why I did this to myself, but like here we are. June's gonna be a month for Jessie. Like already, there's just been so much content.
So, yeah, NCT.
Oh yeah,
I love them. You love them. There's only 500 members, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's not fine. They need more.
They need more. So,
like,
what's an untapped
the more
market?
Love you give, the more you have to give. That's their basic concept.
So, SM Entertainment is working with MGM Worldwide, and they are going to create their new unit, NCT Hollywood, with a K-pop like reality audition show in, you guessed it, Hollywood. So there's a lot of debate amongst fans on the internet about what does this mean? Are they going to, is it going to be like NCT White Boys? Is it going to be NCT like Korean Americans? Is it going to be, I mean, I'm assuming that Mark and Johnny are going to be part of the unit because Mark is in every unit.
They can't let Mark live, okay?
No, exactly. So Mark is in every unit, so of course he's in this unit. I
just imagined Mark getting called to like the office or whatever. Like Mark come to the office and everyone's like, "Dude, you're in another unit."
Yeah, that man has debuted like more times than necessary.
I just imagine them starting the like. There's been rumors about like the NCT Africa like unit, and they're going to be like Mark, and he's like, "Hey, what are you talking about?" Like they'll be like, "Oh, NCT Japan, Mark, you want in on this?" He's like, "I have no Japanese. There's none. Like I don't. Why? Like stop, just stop." So I don't know.
I personally don't think it's going to be NCT White Boys because like the purpose of NCT as a concept is to sort of expand acknowledgement of like Asian music and art forms, so making it a bunch of white boys wouldn't make sense for their actual concept.
No.
I just don't think you're gonna get you're not gonna get the amount of people that you want if it was a white boy. Like you just wouldn't get people. Like
no
you
one
get
would
it
care.
like in good and bad ways. Like fans just wouldn't, they'd be like, what's the, I could just go like listen to, I don't know,
watch
One Direction. I don't know what the white boy
is. I
know, like they,
I love
like,
that's the only one I can think of too. It's like, what's a white boy band? One Direction.
I mean, like I only know like Backstreet Boys. So.
Now, one of the more interesting questions that I've seen some people talking about too, though, is the concept of brown or Blasian, like Black Asian, Hispanic Asian, like how would that go over in Korea? Or are they going to be a unit that primarily
focuses on the
performs North American side, like for Western media? Like it there's a lot of concern about how is it going to be? Is it going to be just Korean American kids and that's it? Is it going to be open to more varieties of Asian kids? Are we going to have some, I mean, because we've already got non-Koreans as a part of NCT. There are Japanese kids and Chinese kids and Thai and, so what could this look like? And it could be really, really good, or it could go very poorly. But I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic that it could be really good and really fun. So, so far, I've enjoyed every unit. So I love Wavy. I love Dream. I mean, they've all been good. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes well. And, you know, Mark gets a chance to breathe.
Let the poor man live.
Watch them make him like the leader of that subunit or something.
Be like, why is this happening to me?
I will say, like, kind of stemming off this, but not really. SM has been rumored to be putting out a new girl group soon, and a lot of people think that it's going to be the female version of Super M, which also kind of is interesting because of this Hollywood thing, because of course Super M was made to really kind of target this audience. But it's like there's up in there, I've heard like theories that they're like that like aespa's their AIs, since like basically they, you know, they
killed them all,
bullied out of like existence from the fans, that they were like,
it was
like,
a dumb idea.
He still wants to do it, so like
it.
the AI group will be this. I think they're called like Pure Blood, Pink Blood.
Oh no, that's
I don't
like
No.
We all gave each other a look with pure blood, like, oh no.
I think it might be some girl group. Tell me.
You know, they really need just someone like one of us just in SM to like run by, hey, we have this idea. This is what we want to name it, and us to be like, no.
Okay, so it's Pink Blood.
Pink
Okay.
blood.
That's
I
not as bad.
I'm gonna read this thing. Does not mean it's true, but it was 14 hours ago. It's just like an insider reports thing. So don't take this. Take this with a grain of salt. It says that SM Entertainment is preparing to debut a unit project group, Pink Blood. The lineup will change every 2 months and will consist of one senior female idol from SM and one rookie idol. The first pair is Yuri from SNSD and her cousin Songsun from the group Tribe.
Sure.
Okay.
But
So
is Tribe under SM?
I don't know.
I didn't think so.
I know there's
Let me go look that.
Saesang, but like he doesn't have his thing anymore.
Try, yeah. Formerly known as Lion Girls and Triangle.
Yeah, it's under TR Entertainment and Mellow Entertainment.
Maybe, but
What?
Are they under?
co-managed by Universal Music.
Yeah, I don't know if they're like that's a part of like a subsidiary.
Yeah, that's because they're really good about not revealing that, you know, like.
Yeah, SM
All
has
that-
a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
Why don't they just call it?
Duet subunit?
So to me, what they shouldn't make it. Okay, if it really is just a senior artist and then a rookie artist that changes every 2 months, it shouldn't really be a group. It should just be like a project. Like, hey, we're doing this themed project.
Well, maybe that's what they're doing it. Maybe they're doing it under their SM, their label that they do, the project label. You know, that it's like mostly YouTube digital releases. Because that they have had multiple people. But here, okay, so like there's also a thing that says one of the songs for the first unit, most likely the B-side, is shared to be written by Alan from EXID. That's interesting. I don't follow a lot of EXID people.
Do you want to quickly cover enlistment discharges?
We can.
Since we didn't, or at least we could mention a couple people that like we care about if we want. Since
That's not to say we don't care about your favorite if we don't mention your favorite.
I mean, I can read all the ones we have written down if you desire.
Yeah, we could just like read them really fast.
Okay, here we go.
All right, really fast enlistments. Let's do this.
Yeah.
B1A4's Jin Young, he got discharged April 9th. Because remember, we didn't do a Noonas in April. So we're talking about some April ones. Highlights, Yoon Do Jun, discharged April 10th.
Sweet.
FT Islands, Lee Hong Ki, he was discharged on the 18th of April.
He back.
Here's one that broke Jesse's heart. Sungjin, he enlisted April 28th.
Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Baekhyun, him and Dice, do you want Jung Hyung Gun? They enlisted on the 6th of May.
Goodbye, my sweet child. We will see you soon.
Infinite Sung Jong, he was discharged May 9th.
Welcome back, dude.
VAV's Ace Teen Top's Cap. Those go well together. I like those names together. They enlisted on the 10th of May. Actor Choi Tae-jun. You know, he had to come back since they were doing, you know,
also
they were releasing his show that he filmed before he left.
Also like an answer the I Married an Anti.
I didn't realize that this had all been filmed like previously, like when I started watching it.
Like
so then when I saw like
ago.
a thing come, and when I saw it come up like, oh, Taejun's finally out of the military, and I was like, wait, what? But I've been watching his show, and then I was like, oh, I'm a dumbass. Okay.
Him and BAP's Jungkook, they were discharged May 17th. And everyone's baby, Taemin, he enlists May 31st.
The military is not ready to handle him.
They're not ready.
They're not.
I don't know, they could be like Sungjin's, like everybody that's like around Sungjin is like obsessed with Sungjin. Like they are like fanboying over him. Like there's like in the military, you can do like every day you can write something like on this like log, and so it's like everybody has it, and so it's like your number, and then you can write in the log, and so it's like shared to everyone, so like family members can see it. It's kind of like a journal entry essentially, or a line or two, and so Sungjin will write stuff, and like all around him it's talking about how they're like hanging out with A6's Sungjin, and he's like great, and they like love his music, and then he's the coolest person. Like literally, I think he is like literally like the coolest, like #1 person. Everybody's like, oh, Sungjin's there.
No, I
that's so
anticipate Taemin driving his superiors absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Not by any like not on purpose, just by being Taemin.
I could see him be like, I'm just gonna be really chill. I'm just gonna chill. Just be completely different. Take this time to relax.
He's been doing his thing for a long time, you know? Yep. Kind of like we were saying earlier about Akmu's Sehun, like being at that age and like I'm ready to you know, just figure out who I am. Maybe he'll just take this time to be like, is this really my thing? Yeah, it is really my thing. Okay, cool. But like, maybe he'll just throw himself right into the military life and do military for the next couple years.
Yeah, you never know.
I know. He's the best at K-pop. He can be the best at military too.
Anyway, advice is awesome. If you haven't listened to it, you should listen to it. It's pretty good.
I know that for Pentagon Suite, like, the boy doesn't, prior to enlisting, he doesn't sleep or eat, pretty much. He just works. He lives in his office thing. So everyone's like, go enlist, go eat food and sleep. Like, go have a schedule.
Yeah.
Have people take care of you.
Like, you see like idols go into the military, which is supposed to be like very restrictive and like terrible for like a lot of people to adjust.
Than their
and they're like,
lives.
This is the best day of my life. They're very excited. They're like happy.
I ate like on time every day. I ate multiple meals every day at like. Yeah.
They make me go to sleep. It's great. I have friends that I get to hang out with. Anyway, that's Enlistments and Discharges. Yay!
Yay! I'm sure there are more, but you know.
Listen, this is what you know. Anyway, this has been another episode of the Noonas. Thank you for listening. We love all of our listeners. We especially love our listeners over on our Patreon, the Found Family over there. If you want to become a member of the Certified Found Family, you can go to patreon.com/certifiednoonas, all one word, to become an official member. We just had our first movie night, which I think was super fun. It went really great. We're going to be doing that again next month, so, you know, we have a good time with it. We got, you know, the little things that get cut out and all sorts of fun that we have over there on the Patreon. Thank you. You can find us on social media we're pretty much everywhere, always with the @certifiednoonas, all one word, but we're mostly on Instagram and Twitter, which is the easiest place that you can go to reach us. We love hearing from people who listen to our stuff and, you know, your takes on stuff that we talk about. We love it. So thank you for listening. We hope that you stay... Oh, no, I'm not done. You can listen to us wherever podcasts can be found. But if you want all the links and time codes and everything, go to certifiednoonas.com, where we have each episode up there that Jesse lovingly uploads there that have links to everything that we talk about. And it's wonderful. So anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. You stay safe and you keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.